Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Aristokrat today is going to be piloting the mech boy right before our eyes. And Rutank is going to be joining him, piloting the Force Commander today. Now, what can you get out of a Force Commander when you're fighting the mech boy? Sure, you can walk up to the orc, rev your chainsword, and rip the fucker in half. But we'll see how effective that's actually going to be. This mech boy is a little bit of a sneaky git, and he's got that teleporter pack on the back to prevent the Force Commander from using his brute force and just doing that. We'll see how things work out. Scouts at the moment are actually going to be the first thing that meets the mech boy, and that is not a situation that you like when you're playing as a Space Marine player. This scout right here, eating a lot of that fire from the shooter, probably going to drop any moment. In fact, the mech boy, very aggressive, teleporting right behind them, and now going to be targeting a different scout model, which doesn't actually help them at all. A little bit of a misplay there from Aristokrat, and I hope you're watching this replay now. I don't know if you are or not. I'm not sure who sent this one in and who didn't. But honestly there, you could have easily guaranteed the probably 2 model kills, if I'm honest with you. Definitely 1 earlier without having to push the mech boy in so aggressively. Again, very aggressive play there from Aristokrat with his mech boy, teleporting him into the tank drop here. But the thing is, tactical Space Marines are no slouch in melee. They can easily just force melee onto the mech boy and beat him. The mech boy, you know, he's not really renowned for his melee prowess at all. You send your tactical Space Marines in. This guy's basically a fucking guardsman in melee, so yeah, bit of an over optimistic play there with the mech boy. Perhaps the mech boy thought he was a big mech from Dawn of War 1 or something. Regardless, looking at the build so far, pretty standard behavior, to be honest. You've got the big shooters here and one of the shooter boys, and yeah, they're putting in work for now, you know, killing a scout model here, but the tactical marines are definitely going to be a lot tougher. This is, if you haven't noticed already, guys, going to be a sloppy Saturday's cast, so what can you do about it? I mean, it is going to be sloppy. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll stop with the accent. I've got a thing for accents. I'm in love with the new microphone, if you can't tell. If you are enjoying the new microphone, do let me know, because this microphone was a little bit costly, but it came out of the glorious Patreon fund. So if you are enjoying the microphone and the higher quality audio that you could now indulge in, you Slaneshi scumbag, consider supporting on the Patreon, because that's what that does, you know, just helps the channel. Anyway, we do actually have a shooter knob joining the shooter boys now. No shooter knob down here. So he's split his upgrades. He's got the shooter knob on one of the shooter boys and big shooters on the other one. That's fine. Probably we'll see the big shooters on this squad pretty soon as well. That's pretty typical that you only go for 1 shooter knob. Generally, you know, the shooter knob is great when you're trading because it means you have less bleed. However, you do get more upkeep, so in general, if you can just keep 1 shooter boy forward to take the tanking and leave the other one behind, exploiting the extra range that you get the big shooters, that's kind of optimal. Basically, you don't want unnecessary shooter knobs. But in this case, it might have been handy to have a shooter knob on that shooter boy squad, because in fact the Force Commander does get into melee and promptly kills 3 of those models. Now, ASM are going to be coming out. We've got a lot of float here from Aristokrat. I was too busy focusing on my accent to be able to notice when he drops his gens. I have to imagine it was rather late, because I mean, he's just floating a lot of requisition. Then again, I guess he has spent a lot of money on upgrades, right? Daka. Shooter boys with their knob, big shooter, yeah, I guess. Disproportionate amount of power expenditures. Tactical Space Marines here, I don't know what they're doing. Why are they not in cover? Move the other tack forward into cover, Rutank. Jeez, my man. Just taking way too much damage unnecessarily right now. Where are these sluggers to counter-initiate? They are all the way in the base here, so ASM going to be putting in some great action. Just kill the shooters! What is he doing? Oh my goodness, he could have easily killed the shooters there. Just 3 of the chainsword hits without a jump would have probably killed it. And then he had the option to jump after them as well. Easy kill on the shooter boys there, but we don't see it. And right now, this is looking like a pretty bad engagement, to be honest. Oh, it's so risky. If the slugger boys Yeah, the Slugger Boys are going to wipe the ASM because they already used their jump, so they can't jump out. You've got to remember, even though the ASM had a lot more HP than the Slugger Boys initially, as the fight goes on, and certainly as the WAR buff is used as well, the Orcs will start winning because SM have more HP, but Orcs have way more damage. I mean, literally, out of all the factions in the game, Space Marines have the highest amount of HP, lowest damage. Orcs are amongst the lowest HP, only like Tyrannid Gaunts have less HP, but then the Tyrannids, you know, get damage resistance with Synapse, and the actual warrior models are quite tanky. So Orcs are definitely down there amongst having the lowest HP, but they have the highest damage. So generally, you don't want to sit and trade like that as a Space Marine. You will start to win early on because of your higher HP, but the longer it goes on and the longer the Orcs can output the DPS, especially if you're not killing models, to cause what we call DPS bleed, things are going to go poorly for you. And then the WAR buff, which stacks with itself, and multiple Orc squads can use it at once, that only makes that problem even worse. You can see some pretty good usage here of the Daka. When you get this upgrade, basically makes him a little bit better than a Tech Marine. Tech Marine is roughly 35 DPS. That would be the same as the default Commando Knob Twin-Linked Shooter. So you just use this and you hunt scouts all day. Very, very fragile unit with only 420 HP of 3 models. It's only like 1.5 Guardsmen. It's actually technically a little bit less than that. Very weak, but that's 35 requisition, whereas 2 Guardsmen can be reinforced for 18 requisition. So that puts things into perspective, right? Scout model costs the equivalent of 4 Guardsmen, yet is as durable as 1.5 of them. That gives you a clear weakness in the SM roster here that you should be exploiting as a mech boy. This of course is bad play, but it's just miss micro. Aristokrat not realising there that his scout sluggers are getting pew-pewed by the scouts. He does at least get the decap. I do hope that he realised that was happening. I don't think it was worth going in for a decap there, losing a model, and then freeing up 2 scout squads to start capping the map. I would have sort of hidden down here and just tried to bait them in and maybe come around the corner such that they have to get so close that you can proc a melee charge and then you can actually catch them. Obviously scouts ordinarily, they've got speed 6.5, so you can't just A-move into them. If the enemy is actually paying attention, they'll be able to kite you quite easily. But it's going to be a fast vehicle for both players, basically headed into tier 2 at a very equal time here. The Death Dread will come out a little bit sooner, but then the Razorback will be here. Of course, we might see the classic missile back play. Get a missile launcher in your Tactical Marine, slap it in your Razorback so it can't be tied up in melee, and it also has speed then to chase down enemy vehicles. We'll see. Force Commander has the option of the Power Fist, already getting that on the way actually. And we've got some Grots for Aristokrat. Maybe Shooter Grots to help focus down the Force Commander, especially now that he sees that Force Commander has the Power Fist. Or perhaps Repair Crew Grots to help support the Death Dread. There's an ample amount of repairs though, because you got Sluggers and you got the Mech Boy. But we've currently got the Burner Sluggers heading over to the Gen Farm with the support of the Death Dread here. Basically, Rutank can't do anything about it. That Death Dread is going to zone out the Razorback pretty damn effectively. We do have the Missile Launcher en route. Force Commander's moving down as well. Good back capping play here from the Scouts. Only 2 models on them because they've not been fully reinforced, which is fine if you're only going to use them to cap. It's honestly just unnecessary upkeep to have them running around free models. Ooh, lands the Flesh over Steel there. Again, a bit of a misclick from Aristokrat. Should have walked the Death Dread away. Flesh over Steel doesn't track, so as long as you keep moving, you should be fine. And indeed, we do see the Repair Crew from the Gretchen, so this is really bad now for Aristokrat, because he's just paid for these upgraded Grots, which are really good at repairing shit, and there's nothing to repair because the Death Dread's already dead. So now you've got a lost vehicle. Fortunately, you didn't have the upgrade, so that wasn't a waste. And now this purchase is extremely redundant. Those Gretchen obviously not very good in combat, and they can decap. They do it very slowly, and they can't cap. So, yeah, not ideal. He does have a crazy amount of resources, though. At the very least, some of that 800 requisition should be going into a Tank Buster squad right now. Hopefully Aristokrat cracks on with that pretty soon. I think he's just a little bit confused as to what he's meant to be getting, though I don't know why. I mean, it should be quite obvious right now. You're facing a vehicle, you've got no AV, no beamy def gun on the way for the mech boy or anything, so get some tank busters. I mean, you're floating requisition, why not? What he follows it up with afterwards, however, is a little bit trickier. There is AV on the field now, 2 sources of it. There could be potentially a melter bomb once he sees these ASM. So I wouldn't be going for any other vehicles as Aristokrat. I think this is a big mistake. I think tier 3 is fine, get it after tank busters. Right now, he's left himself extremely vulnerable because he's got absolutely 0 AV, so this is an easy opportunity for Rutank to push the Razorback forward and get a full bash using the missile attacks to bash super quick. On the plus side, his Slugger Boys did actually manage to wipe out the gen farm here, so Rutank's actually quite far behind in terms of tech. He is pretty far ahead in VPs though, jeez, I only just realised now. 411 VP still for Rutank to the 206 and draining of Aristokrat. It's another disadvantage of the play that Aristokrat did going tier 3. He's bleeding more VPs because he's basically seeding the battlefield. I mean, he literally has no AV. And as anticipated, right now we're gonna be seeing the Gen Bash. Tactical Marines with their missile launcher in the Razorback right now, should be coming out any second. Power Fist Force Commander should probably just kill some grots. These are upgraded, so it's 1 power drained from the enemy every grot you kill. You might as well. And unfortunately a little bit of idling there. Not ideal. You can see the 12 wreck, 1 power. Yeah, a little bit slow there from Rutank, but actually really nice play from Aristokrat here. Sneaks his sluggers around once again and actually gets a Gen Bash. He's not even playing Commander now, but he's still a sneaky git. Where's the AV, man? Goes tier 3, gonna get commandos. I mean, they can get the rocket launcher with their knob leader, but it's not amazing AV. You know, the Force Commander could quite easily just tie that up in melee. There are ASM on the field as well to contribute with that. I'm not very optimistic for Aristokrat here, in spite of the tech lead. I think Rutank should have enough time to be able to win this game on VPs, one would hope anyway. Probably needs to focus a bit more in protecting his power farm. A little bit sloppy that he managed to allow somehow these sluggers to have sneaked around and got the bash. Obviously if it was Commander Knob using Ide the Boys, I could be a bit more forgiving. But commandos do reveal themselves and they have their leader on the way. The Razorback is not moving. This is a massive misplay from Rutank, now it is. But, you know, he should have seen the commandos and been thinking, what are they going to get? Any second there's going to be a leader. They've got their rocket launcher. Oh no, he drives the Razorback forward again. But they miss shoot to the Commando Knob, shooting their rocket launcher at the ASM instead, which can now tie them up in melee. They're attempting to infiltrate, after which they will be able to shoot and potentially kill the Razorback. I don't know if this is enough damage. Mordaka has been used. I believe that only changes the reload speed though, so I don't know if this is going to be enough. They have infiltrated. If they can get to the rear armor, I am sure this will be enough to kill the Razorback. Let us see. We have missed micros going on all over the place though. All the focus of Aristokrat is on the commandos, which for some reason are not going around to the back of the Razorback. They're walking around the front of it. And somehow these shoot boys get out in spite of the fact they were down to less than 25 HP indeed. You can hear those rumbles in the background. That is a Razorback dying to that Commander Knob rocket launcher. And the mech boy also getting away with approximately 25 HP. Rutank honestly could have wiped a lot of these squads this game. Just letting his opponent get away with too much. Remember the shooter boys down here with one model having to run through 3 ASM models. Should have been an easy kill. I mean, certainly a very interesting strategy from Aristokrat to essentially rush tier 3. I mean, he just went an unupgraded Death Dread, rush tier 3 and then go for double commandos. It's not typical that. Commandos are solid generalist units, but they're not really something you would rush tier 3 for, because they're not like obviously superior to leveled up mainline infantry units from earlier tiers that other races get. So, I don't know. I don't agree with this play from Aristokrat. I guess out of all of his tier 3 options, they probably are the best thing. You know, there's already AV on the field, so the looted tank would be a little bit questionable. It probably still would do good, but it just comes down to micro, doesn't it? But, you know, flesh over steel really should never affect a looted tank, given the looted tank is faster than a force commander. Even if the force commander gets the teleport attack, as long as your tank keeps moving, the pathing priority will cause the force commander to fuck up and not finish his flesh over steel, so... yeah, unless the tank gets snared, but there's no las cannon. I guess there are melter bombs though, so... yeah, maybe looted tank would not have been a good idea. Knobs certainly I don't think would have been a good idea, because inevitably eventually there would be a dreadnought, which would manhandle any melee knobs. Of course there is the force commander as well, who can easily get that thunder hammer and keep disrupting knobs. I don't know, maybe, you know, it would have forced him to swap out from the power fist. Perhaps you could go for knobs into a looted tank. Knobs, though, wouldn't be able to kill the Razorback, that's the problem. Looted tank could, but you risk losing it to the Tactical Space Marines. The thing is, you're playing as the mech who can deal with transports just by going for the Beamy Death Gun, so I find it a little bit peculiar that we see no Beamy Death Gun. But, you know, this is a play that Aristokrat's going for, so let's see where it takes him. He's now got a Dreadnought to deal with, but he does have double commandos, so, you know, that's pretty good AV. Certainly if he can get the Beamy Death Gun as well, I think this AC Dread should be pretty easy to handle. He's got absolutely abundant amounts of red to be using on his commandos here for more Dakar. But I tell you what he doesn't have in abundance. VPs! 55 VPs for Aristokrat to a whopping 376 for Rutank. So I think, unless Rutank really overcommits some engagements now, starts losing all of his squads, I think he can always stay in this game just ratting around for VPs, even if he has a clearly inferior combat force. But a really good amount of damage bleed essentially there. What would it be called? HP bleed on the vehicle. Just from poking it repeatedly with these rockets, out of infiltration so the Dreadnought can't really properly retaliate, and, you know, that's time then that the scouts have to spend repairing the Dreadnought instead. And in fact there is going to be a looted tank coming up next. Now actually looking at this composition, Aristokrat is looking like he is in a much better position. Certainly with a melter bomb, power fist and missile attacks, a looted tank can be killed. But looted tank cannon and double commando rockets, that's a lot of AV to go into this Dreadnought. A unit that can't retreat, of course, being a vehicle. I would really be encouraging going for the Beamy Death Gun if I was Aristokrat. Oh, here comes the rocks. Oh shit. That's going to be brutal. That scout squad's going to get wrecked. Tactical Marines push forward. The Dreadnought is just trying to tank it. For some reason the ASM are not tying up the commandos, and I was not able to see the Force Commander being in here this whole time. So it's too big. Well, he died, and it's the UI bug. I feel like I say that every game now. God damn it. But the looted tank makes its appearance. Not a very durable tank by default. Only 650 HP. Currently has 349. So 3 more missiles will take out this looted tank. Perhaps a missile and a For the Emperor / Battlecry buff could do it as well. Maybe we're going to see, indeed we are going to be seeing a dead mech boy in retreat, and in fact maybe that is Aristokrat getting wrecked. I mean, he's still fine, he's got double commandos. He'll be fine. This is really bold play with the looted tank. What on earth is he doing? There's missile tanks right there. One power fist hit. Oh, he just kills it with the power fist. One more swing. Dead tank. Didn't even need the missile launcher, but he had it anyway. Commanders are now running into melee with ASM and the Force Commander. That is indeed going to be GG. Rutank calling the GG. A little bit BM given that he is clearly in a commanding position right now. Should be calling GG if you're winning or feel like you've won. Let your enemy do that. Maybe he's not gonna. Maybe it's one of them games again where the player that calls the early BM GG gets wrecked. Just massively overcommitting to the cap there. Obviously, Rutank is aware of the fact he's on 28 VPs now, is his opponent, so he's just trying to wear out those VPs no matter what. However, Commandos do have that 50% extra capping speed. They're going to force off the scouts easily from the mid, as the scouts had no upgrades, and just going to be going for the cap. Both players so sloppy. Don't just sit here and try to cap. It's not going to work. Don't do it. You're just throwing away any hope that you had. Oh, you get the cap in the mid. Good job, Aristokrat. And you lose your commando squad, so now you've lost the game. Because you don't have enough squads to hold the VPs. Like, come on. What is the game plan here? What is the game plan? Evidently, there is none. This is panic. And no VPs for Aristokrat remain. The 1-0 cap is going to be enough to put him out of the game. Aristokrat, go re. Did you guys re? Wow, right at the end of the cast there, and I needed a coffin fit. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks. That's going to be all from your boy SCD today. A little bit of sloppy action on Fortuna Sanctum. What do you think about the map, actually? Don't get to cast many games on it. It is a new map. Relatively new, anyway. Are we a fan of this map, or are we not? Do you want to see more of it, or do you want to not? Tell me in the comments down below, and if you want more of this kind of ting, then you can get it on Le Patreon. Torpid out.